Hi there, Martina. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting these essays for you. Let's take a look straight away and see what you've written. The first essay is about schools and whether they should be more entertaining. So here's what you wrote. The argument over whether the schools should focus on only educational purposes or should encourage children to learn more via entertainment has not been settled yet. From my point of view, the skills gained by interactive activities are much stronger and can be remembered much longer. This essay will present my opinion supported by examples. Okay, this is really very good. I liked it. Not a lot of sentences. You only have 3 sentences. That's fine. It's more than enough because you covered absolutely everything. I'm very glad that you mentioned your position since they very clearly asked you for it, which side you agree with, and you said what your opinion is, what your position is, so good. And this sentence, while a little complex, read rather easily, no problems. One thing that I would change is be careful with your use of the, because this was incorrect here. So it should just be over whether schools should focus. There are rules about when to use the with plurals. So just keep them in mind, review them, revise them if you need to. So let's move on with the rest of the essay. Some are of the belief that tuition should be led strictly and without joy, but I believe the entertainment is the key aspect which can boost children's motivation and hence encourage pupils to learn with the huge interest. This fact has been supported by John Amos Comenius, who was a pedagogue in the Czech Republic, and his educational concept was innovative, and he had developed modern guidelines which many lecturers have been using and admiring since nowadays. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is an interesting paragraph because, take a look at it. It looks like a normal paragraph, okay, in terms of length and so forth, but it's just 2 sentences, okay, which is a little problematic. They are complex sentences, no doubt, but you can't have a body paragraph with just 2 sentences, no matter how complex those 2 sentences are. So what I want to do is I want to break these sentences down again and talk about what happened and how well you covered all 4 of the criteria. So let's see. Some are of the belief that tuition should be led strictly and without joy, but I believe entertainment without the is the key aspect which can boost children's motivation and hence encourage pupils to learn with interest. Get rid of the huge. It's wrong. We don't use this. So far, it's okay. But then you only had 1 extra sentence to explain the why and the how. Okay? You talked to us about this person, okay? And which was great. I think it's great that you have an example like this with a specific name, but you kind of got off topic. You started getting into this analysis of who he was and what he did without really furthering and getting to the point why his theories support this idea of entertainment in the classroom. And that's what you should have been focusing on, rather than having him having innovative concepts and developing modern guidelines. Okay, that's totally irrelevant. We really are not concerned with that. So what would have been more appropriate is if you had said, this fact has been supported by the innovative pedagogue John Amos Comenius, who supported that blah, blah, blah is imperative in education and totally pioneered the way education in the Czech Republic has commenced from his time until today. Okay, so that would have made sense a little more. And then you could have gone a little more in detail. Because still, you only have 2 main things here. You have this idea of entertainment as being an aspect, and then you have this guy here. But that's really not enough to support this claim, okay? I mean, he's just one expert or one pedagogue or what have you. So you probably should have had another idea in here. Like, how do you know from your personal experience that entertainment is important in the classroom? And what do we mean by entertainment? And that's really important here to think about as well. As you probably know, IELTS doesn't directly test your vocabulary in any section of the exam, but it does test vocabulary indirectly in many, many ways. And one of those ways is by the word entertainment. They are actually checking to see that you understand what entertainment means. Okay, and you show them your understanding of the word entertainment by how you respond to this question. So, what does entertainment mean? It means enjoyment, fun, amusement, laughter, light-hearted sort of engagement. Okay, but with this very kind of fun, sort of amusing, joyful feeling to it. Okay, a lot of students, when they write this particular essay, they talk about extracurricular activities, which in fact can be entertaining, but not all extracurricular activities are in fact entertaining. If you're in a debate club, if you're in competitive sport, while you might enjoy it, it's not entirely entertaining in the fact that it's not lighthearted. It's not, ha ha, how amusing, how funny. Okay? It can be for some children very, very serious. So, when they play or when they're engaged in these activities. So it's really important to understand the meaning of the word entertainment here. Okay? But for me, the thing is that I wanted you to go a little more in detail. You had two sentences, they were long sentences, they were complex sentences, but you needed to add a little more here in terms of the development. Let's move on now. A lot of IELTS tutors will tell you not to use the word besides. It feels really informal. There are other words that could have fit here better. We'll talk about them in a minute. Let me read the paragraph to see what you are trying to say, and then I'll make some suggestions about some words that would have been better here. So, there are other reasons showing that students cope better with lessons fulfilled with the games or interesting tasks. Here in general, I think you're having a problem with some vocabulary here. You don't mean reasons, okay? You mean evidence or you mean proof, and not fulfilled, but full of games or interesting tasks would have been better. This attitude is mutually accepted and mutually, I don't know, mutual by whom? Mutually implies by two people. Okay, so perhaps you mean universally accepted. Perhaps. So this attitude is universally accepted, and many language lessons have been set according to this information. In doing so, education is more exciting and children's brains have to process many tasks simultaneously. A survey from Harvard indicates that children participating in the interactive and playful lessons are able to memorize and use facts three times faster, because their brains are activated in many spheres at one time. Okay. This is better than the previous paragraph. You had a couple of examples of some nice cohesion, which I really liked, like this attitude in doing so. This was all very good. So I liked it. This paragraph feels more in line with what I was suggesting in the previous one. Sentences that were linked to each other, but you've got 4 sentences in this paragraph, and you've got and they're joined nicely together. Okay. To sum up, although some educationalists think the purpose of schools is only to educate pupils, I wholeheartedly believe that children can benefit more when learning is entertainment too. Examples, not examples showing the better outcome of interactive lectures have been presented, and I hope teaching methods will be developed even more in modern society. Okay, this is nice. I like a lot of this. I think it's very good. I think we talked about where there were weaknesses in this essay, but on the whole, I thought it was a very nicely executed essay. I want to point out one thing to you though, okay? Check out your introduction. It went into 5 lines, okay? Now, the paragraph that I told you was a little problematic for me was only 6 lines. This should be your clue that this needs more development, okay? Because the introduction has a very specific role to play. It has certain functions that it has to satisfy. But then that's it. You don't want to spend a ton of time on it. Instead, what you want to do is you really want to focus on developing these body paragraphs. Okay, so when you see that your body paragraph is just one line longer than your introduction, that should be some sort of indication for you that, maybe this needed a little more development somewhere. Okay, keep that in mind. This is where you want to focus. This is where you'll really score points in the bands. Okay, especially for task achievement, but elsewhere as well. So keep that in mind. Now I want to take a look at your other essay about the enjoyable activity with a child. All right, so let's see what you did here. An enjoyable activity with a child, skills, creativity. Let's see what you wrote. It is crucial for children to broaden their horizons and develop a wide range of creativity and skills. Okay, the debate over whether participating in exciting activities or reading is more beneficial. Let me read that again. The debate over whether participating in exciting activities or reading is more beneficial has not been settled yet. From my point of view, both approaches are significant and the right balance should be found. In this essay, I will explain my opinion and I will support it with examples. Okay. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. This is a to what extent do you agree? And you've basically said that you're 50-50, which is okay. There are a couple of things that I wanted to change. I wanted you to change this, a wide range of skills and creativity. You can't really say a wide range of creativity. So, but you can say a wide range of skills and creativity, separating them like that, okay? There was a little awkwardness in this sentence. As you probably saw, I had to read it a couple of times. So on the whole, I thought it was fine. Again, you included your position, which was very good. So no major problems. Everything is okay. Now, take a look at this. Do you see the length of this paragraph compared to this one? This is what I was trying to say in the previous essay, that's the kind of proportion you should be aiming for. Far more development of your body paragraphs than your introduction. Let's take a look and see what you wrote. Encouraging children to do many different and interesting activities and reading should be the goal of every parent because these are efficient ways of positive development. This is awkward here. These are efficient ways of positive development. It's an awkward selection of words. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here, but again, it just feels a little strange. In my opinion, each task can boost various sets of skills. Playing games, completing puzzles, or participating in cooperative competitions, that's also awkward. What does that mean, a cooperative competition? Can increase problem-solving abilities, teach many social interactions, and improve children's motor skills. Careful. The research from now careful here too. There's not one research from Harvard, okay? There's millions at any given moment. So you could have just said, research from Harvard indicates that young students with more than 2 additional voluntary classes are significantly more successful than children attending only standard education. Okay, now this particular support here doesn't really seem to fit with what you're saying. First of all, I don't understand what a voluntary class is. That's not an expression that we typically use. But also, I mean, what's your point here? Like, how is what you're saying about these different activities, how does that relate to a voluntary class versus standard class? It's not entirely clear, and I don't really feel like it's totally relevant. So what would have made more sense to me maybe is if you had said something like young students with more than 2 non-academic extracurricular activities. So something like that would have made more sense to me. Okay? All right, let's see what else you had to say. Although doing an enjoyable activity has huge importance, reading should not be forgotten too. The capability of being creative and having a remarkable fantasy is supported by reading habits. Okay, careful with some of this. You don't mean the capability, but I do think you mean the ability. And you don't mean fantasy, you mean imagination. I know in a lot of languages, the word for imagination is like fantasia or whatever, but in English you can't use fantasy like this, so it should be imagination. This is essential, and children can improve vocabulary, learn to cope better with new information, and will be more open-minded. A survey from Oxford shows that children who have read since childhood can easily tackle an overwhelming number of facts. What does that mean? Around. I don't understand that. So careful with some of this. A lot of this is really good, but then all of a sudden there are a couple of little like pieces of awkwardness, and that's some of what I want you to work on a little bit. Okay. To sum up, although you keep calling them educationalists, I'm not really sure why. Maybe you mean educators, probably a better word here. Although educators cannot agree whether participating in exciting activities or reading can develop a better set of skills, I firmly believe both aspects are enormously beneficial for children, and thus both should, not tackle, again, wrong word, both should consume, maybe, parents' attention, or both should occupy parents' attention, perhaps. That's a good word as well. While playing thrilling games can boost children's social skills, reading can broaden horizons and develop imagination. Again, careful with fantasy. No, Martina, they weren't a disaster. They were actually really good. I saw a lot of really, really wonderful elements here in your writing. High level, a lot of really nice things happening. You're on topic. You're answering the question. You're developing pretty well. Okay, just the things that I mentioned to you throughout both essays. That's what I want you to work on a little bit, what I want you to think about. I thought you did a very nice job. Definitely for your first set of essays, a great job, a great start. Think about some of the stuff that I talked about. See if you can apply some of these suggestions in your next set of essays. I also want you to correct these essays based on the suggestions that I gave you here. And also I want you to start your error correction list. So write down the mistakes I pointed out and then the correct version next to those mistakes. Add to that list with each essay correction you get back from us. And that'll help you kind of avoid repeating the same mistakes in the future. Okay, so let's meet back here on the next day or so with that new set of essays, and I'll be here and I'll be waiting. Okay, good luck to you.